So this is Ralph Porter, and you're 101 years old, and you
On 102 with a few months.
you're in your
That's right.
102nd year right now. So now for a few months, you couldn't get your Orlando Sentinel.
Daily.
So what? So how did that affect you?
Very much so, because I was lost without the newspaper. You get accustomed to the newspaper. I've always subscribed to newspaper. When I was in New York, I had paper delivered to me every day. When I came here, one of the first things I did is check with my son about the newspaper. And at that time, he was working for Orlando Sentinel. And not only recommended, but he suggested if I want, get the paper. It helps me, whatnot. And I did. And it was very, very informative as far as I'm concerned. So, some of the things I read in the newspaper, I did not agree with everything, but most of them, particularly with the electorate and my neighbors and the condition of the community and things of this kind, it gave me pleasure, and I miss that.
So when you don't have the paper, then how do you feel?
I'm lost without it. The day seemed to be non-existent almost, unless I go out of the house. And with the condition of my age and whatnot, I don't like driving around too much unless I'm driven. I am not driving myself, but it helps me to know what is going on. For example, as I said, I haven't had the newspaper delivery in over maybe a month and a half, thereabout. It was irregular at first, and then it stopped altogether. I have called that office 100, I don't know, I wouldn't say 100, but many times, sometimes 3, 4 times a week. Sometimes I got the same person that answered the phone before, sometimes somebody else. And I've always been given the same answer. I'll tell them about it, I'll call the delivery and whatnot and make sure you get the paper. I'm sorry for what is happening, but it's out of our control, and I'll try to correct it. They give me names, and the names mean absolutely nothing, because one person could be giving me the other person's name, and when I call back and ask for that person isn't here today, and all this sort of nonsense. And I got tired of it. Or when I call, I was shift to another person, and the other person wanted to hear the whole story all over again. And I felt that was not it. And finally, I told my son what was happening, and my son, knowing my feelings about the Orlando Sentinel and whatnot, he went through with it. And him at first, they were giving him a hard time, but he persisted, and the delivery started up again, and I'm very appreciative of that. I like the Orlando Sentinel. In fact, it's the only daily newspaper that I know of in Orlando that I can get daily. And
So one of the things, though, they said, well, tell your father he can get the paper online.
Well, it's nice to say that. That happens with the bank. That happens with a lot of things that's going on. It's a very modern world now. I was born in 1929.
29?
Yeah. August the 29th, 1921.
1921. That's
See, I'm getting all confused with all these dates.
yeah, 1921.
1921. And of course, in 1921, was no newspaper.
Well, I just still remember as a little kid how you taught me to take the New York Times and fold it into thirds so you could read that standing up or sitting down in a crowded subway car.
Yeah, but I still do that right now, even at home.
Show us how you do that.
I take the newspaper, and I would in half. Particularly on the subway, you couldn't read the newspaper on the subway open wide. You had to take it. And this
Yeah.
is yours.
But again, I guess the main point I was hoping that you would make and that you did make is how important the newspaper is.
To me.
Yeah, to
It was
everybody.
like getting medication every day. Without it, you're lost.
I mean,